we are going to talk about the War of 1812. The War of 1812 was a series of small battles between the British and the U.S. Going into the series of wars, the Americans were unprepared and had fewer than 7,000 troops, and the militias had between 50,000 and 100,000 troops, but they were all poorly trained. Some causes going into the war were Great Britain refused to give the ports that they said they would in the Treaty of Paris. They also began stopping American sea vessels and searching them for British passengers that were trying to run away. And trade embargoes by Britain and France resulted in taking of the American ships. So they started taking American ships without permission. And Great Britain had control over much of Canada, and the Americas wanted the land so they could expand the United States and try and do their manifest destiny. Many people opposed going into the war, and so did many states. Some people that opposed going into the war were general commanders, military commanders, veterans who were too old, and the government in Washington, because the government knew that they were not prepared yet to go into war. Some people who were important in the War of 1812 were General William Hull, Francis Scott Key, and Andrew Jackson. General William Hull led the Americans into the first battle. Francis Scott Key, he watched the bombs burst over Fort McHenry. He wrote a poem called The Star-Spangled Banner, and later in 1931, Congress designated that as the national anthem. And then Andrew Jackson. Andrew Jackson was a Tennessee planter who had a small army of his own. In 1814, Jackson's forces slaughtered more than 550 of the Creek people at the Battle of Horseshoe Bend. Later, he went on to become president in 1828. General William Hull led the American army from Detroit into Canada. Hull was met by Tecumseh and his warriors. Fearing a massacre would happen, Hull surrendered Detroit to the small British forces in August. After that, at the Battle of Thames, Tecumseh died. To lower national debt, Republicans reduced the size of the Navy. However, they still had 3 of the fastest frigates, or warships. American privateers are armed private ships that attacked British ships and captured numerous vessels. There were 9 smaller battles in the War of 1812. Those battles were the Battle of Baltimore, the Battle of York, the Battle of the Thames, Battle of Horseshoe Bend, Battle of New Orleans, the Battle at Fort Detroit, naval battles, the Battle of Lake Champlain, and when the British attacked Washington, D.C. and burned down the White House. How the war ended was the Treaty of Ghent. The Treaty of Ghent is when American and British representatives signed a peace treaty. They signed this treaty in December 1814 in Ghent, Belgium. Nothing was decided by this treaty. It had nothing to do with what was going on in the war. And because of the war, there is no winner of it in the very end. The effects of the war were: it weakened Native Americans. It increased American patriotism. It proved the country's strength. The U.S. military and manufacturing was strengthened, and it declined the power of the Federalists.